But all is not well in the Indiana Fever fandom community, particularly the Caitlin Clark community, because even though they got a win last night, you got a lot of people that are still not happy. And they're still not happy with the brand of basketball that this team plays. And also, the other thing, and this is we kind of told you so. We told you so. Last night, the entire upper part of that stadium wasn't even open. They didn't even bother selling tickets for it because there was no demand.
Caitlin Clark fans were expected to pack arenas, but now Indiana Fever tickets are being treated like clearance bin leftovers as resale prices crash to just $8. What was supposed to be the hottest show in the WNBA suddenly feels more like a ghost town, with empty seats spreading across social media faster than post-game excuses after another disappointing loss. Stephanie White was brought in to restore energy and control the chaos, but fans expected explosive basketball and got the emotional experience of standing in a DMV line with broken air conditioning. The hype was supposed to create a dynasty atmosphere, yet frustration is starting to drown out the excitement. Now the internet is asking one brutal question. How did the most talked about superstar in women's basketball end up connected to an arena that looks emptier every single game?
No stands. I mean, and look at it. They got tickets available everywhere. The nosebleeds, the middle, the floor area, the club seats. Like, what are we talking about? And these aren't resale tickets. These are actual tickets that are available. And it's the home opener. And I saw somewhere where they done discounted them to $12. And see, this wouldn't be so funny if this fan base wasn't all about.
Before we go any further, hit that like button and subscribe because this story keeps getting crazier every single day. Now let's talk about those $8 ticket prices, because in professional basketball that usually means one of two disasters happened. Either the arena accidentally scheduled tip-off during a tornado warning, or fans looked at the team and decided they would rather stay home alphabetizing their spice rack than sit through another painful night of basketball. And judging by the resale market, Fever fans are sending a brutal message loud and clear. The hype may still exist online, but inside the arena, the excitement is disappearing faster than a fourth quarter lead.
Right here, the Crypto Arena holds 19,000 for basketball. And they only sold 12,000. There was only 12,605 people last night. They were down 7,000 people. And there was so little demand, they didn't even bother opening the upper bowl of this arena. Which leads me over to this, and let me just refresh this.
Unfortunately for the Indiana Fever, this has nothing to do with bad weather and everything to do with a fan base starting to realize something feels seriously off. Watching Caitlin Clark trapped inside this cramped offense is like buying a Ferrari just to sit in school zone traffic all day. Fans were promised fast-paced highlights, deep threes, and non-stop electricity. Instead, they are watching one of the most exciting stars in basketball run circles through crowded defenses while the offense moves like it's stuck in quicksand. And the longer this keeps happening, the louder the frustration gets. Because people did not pay to watch a generational talent get boxed into a system that looks allergic to excitement.
But it was one great point right before halftime where Caitlin Clark received a technical foul. The arena erupted. And it's a lot of Indiana Fever and Caitlin Clark fans there, but they still erupted in applause. You know, no one's above the law, okay? Also, I want to note that there were a lot of empty seats, a lot, like sections empty. So I don't know what happened to the Caitlin Clark.
The craziest part? Indiana has actually been winning games lately, and somehow the vibe around the team still feels completely miserable. In sports, winning is supposed to fix everything. Fans normally overlook ugly possessions, questionable rotations, and coaches who look one missed call away from arguing with a parking meter. Usually victories act like emotional duct tape. They cover the cracks, quiet the complaints, and convince everyone the problems are not really that serious. But with the Fever, even wins are starting to feel uncomfortable. That is what makes this situation so strange. The scoreboard says things are improving, but the energy around the team feels like fans are watching a problem slowly grow in real time.
Anymore, ratings are dropping some. This is crazy, man. Take a look at this here. The Indiana Fever posted this. Our first Lucas Oil family night of the season is this Sunday. Tickets start at $28. So for $28, you can get a hot dog, some Cheez-Its, a drink, and a ball cap. As long as you pay $28 to come to the game. This is craziness, man. The Indiana Fever wasn't giving out no deals.
But this situation feels different because fans are not just reacting to wins and losses anymore. They are reacting to the actual experience of sitting down and watching these games. And right now, a lot of people feel like the Fever are turning one of the most electric players in basketball into the human version of a tax seminar. Caitlin Clark became a superstar because her game felt completely out of control in the best possible way. The logo threes, the impossible passes, the insane pace, the confidence, and that constant feeling that something ridiculous could happen at any moment made people stop everything and watch. She plays basketball like someone handed a caffeinated point guard unlimited cheat codes and told her to have fun. Fans did not fall in love with her game because they wanted to watch a slow-motion chess match where every possession takes longer to develop than a highway construction project. They showed up because Clark made basketball feel chaotic, dangerous, and alive. Now, some Indiana possessions have the energy of a mandatory corporate Zoom meeting at 7 a.m. The offense moves so slowly that fans probably have enough time during one possession to order food, walk the dog, answer emails, and reconsider every life decision they have ever made before the shot clock finally expires.
Caitlin Clark has to free herself from this organization. At this point in time, they're not fully dedicated to the well-being of Caitlin Clark. I am convinced they do not want those logo threes. They do not want Caitlin Clark to play her game. They want Caitlin Clark to be a part of the system that Stephanie White has laid out. This isn't Caitlin Clark's team. This is Stephanie White and Kelsey Mitchell basketball team supported by Caitlin Clark. That needs to change. Caitlin Clark is the face of the WNBA and the sole reason y'all is getting the money to build this big-ass practice facility y'all trying to do.
That is exactly why criticism of Stephanie White has exploded online, because a huge part of the fan base believes the system is slowly draining every bit of excitement out of the team. At this point, the frustration is not even just about losing games anymore. It is about the style of basketball itself. Fans are watching a player famous for speed, creativity, and chaos get placed inside an offense that sometimes looks terrified of all three. And what makes it even more frustrating is that everybody already saw the blueprint earlier in the season. When Indiana played fast, pushed the tempo, and let Caitlin Clark attack freely, the entire team suddenly looked dangerous. Defenders were panicking. Transition opportunities were everywhere. The crowd stayed locked in because every possession felt one step away from a ridiculous 30-foot bomb or a highlight pass nobody saw coming. The Fever looked confident, loose, and genuinely fun to watch. But now there are stretches where the offense feels like it was designed by somebody trying to lower the blood pressure of the entire arena. Everything slows down. The movement disappears. And fans keep asking the same brutal question over and over again. Why is one of the best playmakers in basketball spending so much time standing around waiting for plays that never actually develop?
They have completely screwed the pooch when it comes to this thing, and they have no one to blame but themselves. That front office, Kelly Crosskoff, Amber Cox, and that head coach, Stephanie White. You guys have brought this thing to a new low, it appears. I don't blame the people for holding out. We don't know what's going on with this back situation. All of a sudden, she needs a chiropractor every 5.5 seconds. I don't know what's going on, but you guys have blown it. This is the type of things that the Chicago Sky was having to do when Angel Reese was there.
Fans expected non-stop pick-and-roll action, constant movement, and an offense built specifically to unleash Caitlin Clark at full speed. Instead, there are nights where the entire system feels weirdly disconnected from the very player who made the franchise nationally relevant in the first place. That is why so many people are confused watching Indiana right now, because basketball history usually follows one very simple rule. When you find a superstar with a rare skill set, you build everything around what makes that player dangerous. You do not buy a Ferrari just to proudly drive it behind a tractor going 11 miles per hour. But that is exactly how a huge portion of fans describe the Fever offense right now. And the internet has shown absolutely zero mercy about it. Sports fans treat struggling offenses the same way nature documentaries treat injured gazelles. Once weakness appears, everybody starts circling. Every possession becomes evidence in a never-ending courtroom trial. Every missed opportunity turns into another social media war full of screenshots, play diagrams, angry emojis, and at least one guy claiming he could coach the team better from his couch while holding a plate of chicken wings and yelling at his TV.
First, the name Caitlin Clark has now entered this space where you can not have any type of nuanced conversation because you can simply point out a fact. And you have some people who will then turn that fact into a conversation into about like race and race wars, which is crazy.
The resale ticket situation only poured gasoline on the entire conversation. Once fans started seeing prices crash to levels normally reserved for canceled concert tours and minor league wrestling events, people could not stop talking about it anymore. Because this is Caitlin Clark. This is not some anonymous rebuilding team quietly floating around the middle of the standings. This is the biggest attraction women's basketball has seen in years. Fans expected sold-out arenas, impossible resale prices, and crowds fighting over tickets. Instead, people are opening resale apps and staring in confusion like they just found luxury vacation packages sitting next to coupons for frozen yogurt. And sure, ticket prices never tell the full story. Schedules matter. Opponents matter. But fans also know one brutal truth. Nobody wants to sit through 40 minutes of sluggish basketball when streaming services, couches, and refrigerators full of snacks already exist at home. That is why every conversation eventually circles back to the same issue: pace. Caitlin Clark is at her best when the game feels chaotic. She thrives when defenses panic, when transition opportunities appear out of nowhere, and when everything starts moving slightly out of control. That is the environment where she becomes terrifying. Slow everything down, and you remove the exact conditions that make her special. It is basically like asking a rock guitarist to spend the entire concert whispering acoustic lullabies inside a library.
Lately, unfortunately, the way Clark is having to get her buckets, people don't like it. People don't like that her teammates aren't passing to her. People don't like that plays aren't run for her. People don't like that good picks are not set for her. People don't like the way Stephanie White is using Caitlin Clark. They are already tired of it. They they got to win. Yeah, you look at the box score and Caitlin's got numbers, but you know what? That's not always enough.
Then there is the growing concern about Caitlin Clark's physical condition, which has quietly become a huge part of the conversation. Fans started noticing moments where she did not always look fully comfortable moving after earlier collisions and constant physical contact. That immediately sparked questions about whether lingering soreness in her back or hip area could be affecting her explosiveness. Nobody outside the organization actually knows the full situation, but that never stops the internet from turning into a full-time detective agency. One awkward landing suddenly becomes a 20-minute online investigation featuring slow-motion replays, freeze frames, and random people acting like they earned medical degrees from YouTube comment sections. And the reality is, Clark already gets chased around the floor non-stop because opposing defenses understand one thing very clearly. If you slow her down, you slow down the entire engine of the Fever offense. But when the offense itself already feels cramped and sluggish, that defensive pressure becomes even more exhausting to watch. Fans are seeing possessions where Clark is forced to create something out of absolutely nothing while defenders stick to her like they are competing on a reality show called Extreme Defensive Contact. That is where the frustration keeps boiling over, because people are watching one of basketball's most creative offensive players spend entire stretches fighting through traffic instead of actually controlling the chaos the way she normally does.
After running into the tunnel, immediately spotted wearing a back brace.
Apparently it's it's not a back brace according to some people. It's a back brace. It's a heating pad, whatever the hell you want to call it. Why isn't Aaliyah Boston wearing one? Why isn't Lexi Hull wearing one? Why isn't anyone else wearing one? Well, because they're just not injured on their back. They don't have a back issue.
That frustration builds quickly because fans expect a coaching system to reduce pressure on its stars, not increase it. Great offensive systems create rhythm, generate easy looks, and manufacture spacing that lets elite players operate at full power. Right now, many fans feel like Indiana is asking Caitlin Clark to solve advanced calculus problems while being chased through a shifting maze. Instead, some games have started to feel like the fireworks got replaced by a mandatory seminar on accounting software that nobody signed up for. Even neutral viewers have noticed the difference. Earlier in the season, Indiana games carried a frantic, almost addictive energy. There was constant movement, quick transition scoring, and emotional momentum swings that kept people locked in every few minutes. Now there are stretches where the offense slows down so much that viewers start checking their phones, not because they are distracted, but because the possession flow begins to resemble rush hour traffic directed by confused pigeons trying to figure out who has the right of way.